Okay. Are you ready? Get comfortable. This is something that's coming to me. I remember the Lord brought me to the book in the Bible, Isaiah chapter 45. And this is what stuck out to me, among other things. But in this video, and it's where he mentioned being the God of destruction and the God of prosperity. Both the God of destruction and the God of prosperity. I know you can think, well, no, God wouldn't bring about destruction. Well, I think that in his sovereignty, he allows destruction, right? He will allow the enemy to rob you, but he will always make it good. And so I read that like years and years ago. And I feel like the Lord is talking to me now. And this is what I want to make this video about. He's the God of seasons. So are you in a season where there seems to be a lot of destruction, a lot of tearing down, a lot of loss, a lot of, losing? Or are you in a valley season? Or are you in a mountaintop season? The God of prosperity is also the God of destruction. I think it is necessary for us to experience the valley so that we know who brings us onto the mountain. Because I think in the valley, we become ones. What is produced in us anyway are worshipers in spirit and in truth. I will praise you from the mountaintops because you took me from the lowest place and put me in the highest place. I know what it is to be low with you, Lord. And I know that you were the one who lifted me up. I believe that it is necessary to know of the one who brings about prosperity. I think that we want to do this thing where we're like, no, I'm a new creation. Like everything's always good because I'm new, because he's this. And we declare the truth of ourselves when we do all of these things. And I'm like, all right, that works for you. But that's not the way he's trained me up. Instead, he has been one who has been intimate with me in all the seasons. And I have been in a long drought season, a long valley season, a long season of sorrow, right? That has come with so much destruction, so much loss. And I feel like the Lord's like, I am here with you. Like, are you in a season of sorrow, trying to make it joyful? Or are you surrendered in your season of sorrow with the Lord in sorrow as he prepares the joy? There's a difference, I think. It's like you can look at sorrow as negative. You can look at joy as positive, right? Like being sad or negative feelings or negative thoughts or negative whatever ways of seeing things. It's sad, it's sorrow, it's painful, it's this, right? And then the positive is like the happy feelings, right? The joy is the positive, the sorrow is the negative. But if you think about it, sorrow in one season is just joy turned over. Joy in one season is just sorrow that has been reversed, right? The joy of a new season comes from the sorrow of a previous season. This is where you will find it, I believe, right? Where things were destroyed, you will meet the one who rebuilds so that you can rest in what he has built. You were with me when everything was falling apart and my head was hung low. Now I know who has lifted me up where I could not lift myself up. So Sometimes my dogs are just in my face. You can't see it in the video, but it's a season of surrender. Surrender everything. But that's what I think this video is about. He is the God both of destruction and prosperity. He is the God of seasons. What season are you currently in? I think there will be, I feel like the beginning of a season, especially if it's a season of like being in the valley, is kind of resisting it. Of course you will. It's uncomfortable. You're going to think something's wrong and that you're doing something wrong. And maybe you were trained to think positive. And the season seems to engulf you and take you deeper, right? But how positive can one be when they're being lowered into a grave? We talk about being new creations, but to be a new creation is to begin with being lowered in a grave. You must be resurrected. I don't know. This has just been my experience, right? I'm always, I leave it on the shelf where other people can have their own experiences, but if you understand, you understand, and whatever the Holy Spirit is speaking to you. But it really is like you can look at sorrow as just joy that hasn't been turned over yet. So if you have all the sorrow and you're coming to know the Lord who is with you intimately in where you are held down, where your head is hung low, where your spirit feels crushed, where there's nothing in you to continue. For one, I just want to take a pause and be like, I understand so much. And that's really the people that would want to see my videos, is someone who understands, I know what it is to be in a season of sorrow, loss, destruction, being in a valley, in a place that is dry. I get it. But I feel like the Lord is telling me, He's like, embrace, if this is where you are, embrace the season of sorrow. There is grace to embrace the season of sorrow. That the destruction is only making room for more things to prosper. The uprooting of old things is just the beginning of something new being planted, making room for something new to be planted. See, there's a lot of things that we have created ourselves, things that we're trying to hold in place. And I believe the Lord is so jealous for our heart in this way, where He's like, I want you. It's like His love. It's like the love that's in Him. It's like these things that are grabbing your attention. You feel like you have to hold on to them. You feel like you have to manage this. I want you to let it go. And yes, it's going to come with this sorrow. It's going to come with this death. It's going to come with the grieving. But it's only making room. And I'm jealous for you to know of the freedom. Maybe jealousy is not the right word, but I feel like that's what's coming to me. It's like He's jealous of any other life that gets in the way of the life that He has for you in Him. So the old life, He's like, no. You don't belong to my child, because it's too much restriction. It's too much bondage. It's too much you feeling like you have to have a good time all the time. And if you don't have a good time, it's your fault. No, let me uncover that and show you that I honor you. And we will both be lowered into the grave together, right? You have someone who is on your side, a companion who is with you in this season of sorrow, in this season of destruction. So then the very same companion who was with you when you were down, when He lifts you up, how could you not be but the most authentic worshiper in spirit and in truth? You will not have to get yourself to be moved by Him. You will be moved by Him because He met you in the low place. He dwelled with you in the low place. And in the low place, he said, I'm going to make this up to you. I'm going to take that sorrow and I'm going to turn it to joy. But if you don't experience the sorrow, I think you'll be also limited in joy. Because if you don't cry from a very deep place, I don't think you're going to laugh from a very deep place. I feel like what he has told me in my life, he said, Brandon, we're going to have the last laugh. Because, and that's made me so mad, because this place that I'm in, it's not very funny when these things keep happening to me. But I feel like that's his promise. His promise is attached to the sorrow that is in your life. His promise is attached. It's the life force that is in the pain and the suffering. What is dead will raise again. But what you will know that you didn't know before. This is where I think that you could say it's like a pruning. He prunes away the dead things so that what is alive can bear more fruit. You will have this knowing of the vine dresser, this knowing of the one who has elevated you. This one who has lifted your head. But not because that's positive and having your head down is negative, but because there was a time for your head to hang low and for you to be in a season of sorrow. But the Lord, who's in charge of all seasons, says this is when this is ending and this is when this is beginning. And I was with you here, and I'm going to be with you here. In the sorrow, in the joy. I'm like, God, I feel like our relationship is quite shit. It's very real. It's very honest. I never thought I would ever have a relationship with God like this, where I'm so honestly open and frustrated at him a lot. But damn. He seems to still be here for me. And he's not, this is the crazy part, he's not trying to get me to have joy. It's like he's saying, I am your joy. Right? And just because it's not activated right now, doesn't mean I won't activate it at the right time. It may be time for you to feel sorrowful and to feel sad. And you're not, there's a certain type of people that can actually be around someone long term without it ruffling their feathers. Like, this is why I think God will put you into an isolation, because not everyone's going to be comfortable with you being lowered in a grave and being sad. They're like, you got to turn that thing around. You got to do this. And it's like the season I am in is not that. There was a season where I was holding on. He was telling me to hold on. He was telling me to do these things. But this season is let go. Let go. Be still and know that I am God. So it really just depends on what season you're in. But he is the God of every season. And so if you have the sorrow, it's basically joy. This is coming from me, okay? You should have saw me this morning. I said it in a video that I made this morning or whatever. It's like I'm trying to communicate something. I'm trying to release something, but I can't. So it feels like I'm like suffocating. I'm like, I want to express myself, but it's not working. I don't feel like there's any words in the English vocabulary. Maybe this is why the word talks about our prayers can sometimes be groans, because you just don't know what to pray. You don't know what to say. Sometimes there are no words. And that seems to be the place that I've been in a lot. Deep sighs. And this is where I didn't know who God was. And I'm still skeptical on his ass. He's just like with me in how I feel, sorrowful, not trying to get me to feel better. At the same time, his faithfulness shows up like the wind, the fresh wind that hits sails, and I'm lifted, right? I am refreshed. It's a new day, and it's not as bad as it was yesterday. It's not as heavy as it was yesterday. I find that there's heavier days ahead, but he's gentle in this way where there seems to be a rhythm to it. An inhale and exhale. I'm with you, I'm with you, I'm with you. Those that wait on the Lord will renew their strength. To wait on God and to essentially, as you wait, because the wait on God is so not what people do. And if you've been trained up like most people, then your ego and your pride dies. Right? So to wait on him is a death of the ego, death of the pride. And that's a lot of the ways in which we have viewed who we are. And so you're essentially dying to yourself, right? Because you are being repositioned to live a completely different way than you're used to. There was a point that I wanted to say. It was about him. Oh, he's really not trying to cheer me up. His faithfulness shows me I'm with you with your head hung low. And my grace is sufficient in your weakness. Your head can hang low. It's not going to get so negative. It's not going to get so dark because you're in my hand. Maybe he will give you some clarity on the season that you were in. Maybe you already know. Your feelings are good indicators. If they're continuous feelings, right? There seems to be a continuous pattern to the season that you were in. There's probably some truth to that. I don't think every day is supposed to be sunshine and rainbows. I think in order to really take in the sunshine and to see fully the beauty of the rainbow, you got to know what it looks like whenever it's cloudy and dark outside, right? There seems to be a balance in that way. But this is where God is the one who's with you on a dark and cloudy day. And he is also with you on a sunny day. I think that's what life really is all about. It's not about trying to have a good day all the time. I don't think it's about trying to make the most of it. Not for me anyway. Maybe it is for you. But for me, it's not about that. He is teaching me, no, I have set this apart. There is divine timing on the season that you are in. This is a time to grieve. This is a time to feel all that you are feeling. You can have it where you have a romantic relationship or something, and the advice can be just go and find someone new. But I think the Lord would very much say, no, you need a season to grieve and heal, because he is always looking after our well-being. He is looking after our well-being, and it seems to be part of the human experience to grieve and have hurt come up and to heal from that hurt. In order to heal, I think you have to re-experience the hurt. It's the messiness of healing, I think. You don't even quite know. You just feel like you relapse or something. Say, no, you're healing. It's just coming to the surface. It's coming to me now. Because it's in the same, I think it's like right after this. He's like, I give you gladness in exchange for mourning. I give you beauty for ashes. So the exchange rate, I like saying it like this, like if you were gonna go from like Canadian dollars to United States, right, US dollars, there's an exchange rate, okay? So, but in the kingdom, the exchange rate seems to be the amount of sorrow you have is comparable to the amount of joy you have. That's just how I see it, right? Take it back to him if you want to, right? How much ashes do you have? Again, the God of seasons, the God of destruction. I will make that beautiful. I will build something so beautiful with all of the broken pieces of your life. Because for a time, you're just left in a puddle of your broken life. That's what it feels like for me. Everything's shattered and a million pieces, and I'm confused about all these things. And I'm just like, what the hell? But now I'm in position to see the Redeemer, to see the way maker. God, what are you going to do? Because you and your kingdom seem to have this exchange rate. I can't take this anywhere else and get anything for my money. If the ashes and the sorrow is money, I can't exchange that for other money. So it's essentially worthless. But in the kingdom, it seems to be so valuable. It's like, no, what you have reaped, what you have sown in tears, you will reap in joy. Have you sown in tears? Sowing in tears is not sexy. It's not glamorous. It's not aesthetically pleasing. It's real. It's in the dirt. It doesn't feel good. But if you've sown in tears, you will reap in joy. If you're constantly always trying to reap joy, I think it'll be very surface level, because you didn't allow those tears to fall in the season that they were supposed to fall. You kept trying to not cry. You kept trying to not be there. And I think this is where God is really good. He's like a mastermind in this way. It's like, you will know of the season that you were in, because every season has a purpose, right? And he will achieve the purpose of that season in your life. If you were walking with him, if you were following him. It's hard. It's really, really difficult. To see everything in your life destroyed, broken into a million pieces. Your head is hung low. You think it's lifted up, then it's brought back down. You're like, is something wrong with me? I feel like the Lord's just like, no. No, and I am with you. No, and I am for you. Cry deep. We will have the last laugh. There is an opportunity, there is a time and space, a divine time and space for you to sow in tears, so that you will reap in joy. There is a divine time and space to have a season of sorrow that is just a previous season's joy. That's where it comes from, it seems. like YouTube because I can just kind of hang out. I don't really like bullet points, and I don't want you to feel like you're in a classroom or something. You know, I like just kind of like hanging out or something. I like that, more of that casual thing, more of a relaxed vibe. It's more relaxed on YouTube, I find, than TikTok. I'm just like, if you want to hang out, we can talk about this, right? It might be where you're at. It might be where you're at. And don't worry, this is what I'm finding out. His faithfulness will show you what you need to see, and you will know what you need to know. Because of his faithfulness, you will know. So whatever sticks out to you in this video, that's for you. Question it, chew on it, wrestle with it. You're gonna do all that anyway. I expect you to. Some things sit with you, right? Other things don't. You're like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. And he's like, all right, we'll put that on the shelf. We'll come back to it later, right? Because again, this isn't like a sexy video. This isn't like, ooh, let me show you what you can do. And it's like, no, what season are you in? Destruction or prosperity? Well, I hope that the prosperity that is in your life is because of God that did it, and you now know that because you know of the God that was with you when everything was being torn down. In order for that prosperous season, it seems to be that the precursor, right? The origin story is not that pretty. It's not that pretty. I could be on here all day probably. But alas, until next time.